Hi, John.
Hello, hello.
How are you?
I'm really great, thanks. How are you?
I'm good. It's really good to see you. I've been excited about this all day.
Yeah, I think it's fantastic. I'm so glad you accepted my request to 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 talk and to meet. I'm really grateful for any guidance you give. It's just great catching up with you. It feels like I was thinking it must have been within the last year that we last met, right? Because I think it was in the studio before it was built as a studio. I seem to remember.
Oh, yes. I do think I remember. Was there a different background or have you always had the green?
Yeah, I was kind of just like right next to me here, physically in the same part of our garage. But in that time, I think probably like a month or two afterwards, had a room within the room built. So it's like the studio walls and ceiling put in and around the space. So um, it's quite funny. Like whenever I see people before and after that, it's like I'm in the same place, but it's in a different room.
Wow, it must be so nice having that done.
Oh, it's really magical. It's I mean it's soundproof. I can just come down here whenever I want and anytime and make lots of noise, which is fantastic. And the same with, degree of exercising. Um and I just recently started I'm doing a diploma in reflexology and a foot massage, and I was like, oh, if it was I mean, actually looking at it, I might be able to fit a bed and still have enough space to do treatments, but it doesn't have any windows or ventilation, and I'm not sure how long you can survive.
If it got really hot, like in the summer or something.
Yeah, just no air. There's no air ventilation. There's no windows, no nothing. So
Ah,
all to trap the sand in.
is that something you will be giving to people?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I have to do. I've been doing it since October, and I have to start to qualify. I have to do 100 hours, 100 treatments. Um, so I must be at, I don't know, something like 20 or 30. And it's amazing. It's yeah, it's just incredible therapy.
Oh my gosh, that seems like it would fit so much in like what you do to help like people raise their vibration. Like similar to like do you do Reiki or that kind of thing?
It's like that, yeah. Like the session I did for you is like um it's like a form of energy healing. Somewhere between I describe it as like a mix of Reiki and like quantum hypnosis or like past life hypnosis. It's like a blend of those things, neither of which I've trained in. I've just learned it on the
Yeah.
job for the last 3 years.
Whoa. So so is it more than massage, it's like pressure points?
Yeah, like you touch the reflexes on the feet, the ends of the nerve endings of all of our organs
Hmm.
magically come out at our feet. And so like your brain is on like your big toe, and then your heart is on like the ball of your foot, and so you map everything out, and then there's these like ancient techniques that you use to then massage them. And it's what is really shocking when you first do it is that it's so easy to feel where someone has some challenges, either discomforts or like
Mm.
it's not like I'm so used to like when you do things like psychically that it's like everything's so sensitive and you're always like listening really carefully with like every fiber of your being. But then when you touch someone's feet, like for instance, if they have a I don't know, let's say they have a solar problem with the solar plexus, you touch the solar plexus reflex, which is kind of like a line down from near the big toe. um, if you press that, you'd feel it. And sometimes you feel like this crunchiness, almost like this cartilage under the skin. And you're feeling that, and you ask them, you're like, "What does that feel like?" Like, "Oh, that really hurts. So that's really strange. What is that?" And you explain it. And said, "Oh, yeah, that totally makes sense. I've got this problem." Um, so yeah, I really I love that. I also love that I get to like be close like to touching people because it's like getting me out of hermit mode, like getting me out of my studio, connecting with people, and that's been so helpful. Like I And also like my physiology, anatomy was almost zero. So if I was doing an energy healing for someone, it's like that, that area of like you're somewhere in the something something and you're something something, and I wouldn't even know what it was, or they'd tell me, and it's like, no, I don't even know what that is. We have one of those, do we?
I feel like I've been the same way with exercise and now learning to like be able to teach others kind of what I've been practicing physically. Like I have to have like this base knowledge of
Mhm.
just understanding muscles more and grouping and stacking and just all the different
How they
things.
work, right? Yeah, I didn't even know how muscles worked until I think maybe 2 weeks ago I started to do an assessment for it. It's like, wow,
Whoa,
that's amazing.
that is amazing. That is so cool. Yeah. I can really relate like with coming out of hermit mode because I feel like that's what I've been doing too with finally finally having some workout sessions with people,
Yeah,
which happened like the first one I designed a class last month and delivered it to someone that I met from my jujitsu class. And that was different because so much of, and maybe you can relate with your music, so much often I'm in the flow
yeah,
of moving and I'm not thinking about it as much. Um, but I'd like to have more like structure and
yeah.
patterns to be able to share it with others because, you know, it's a creative process, but to have those things in place would be much easier to share.
I love that. Like we're just being called at this time, right, to do it once and then teach it. And you're like, but I just came up with that, or that you feel like you came up with it, or like you're saying, like when you're in flow, none of like so little of it's conscious. Like you're just going with like the next thing that feels right. And that's definitely challenging to teach people. I've got an 8 week course. I'm teaching the higher self foundational training, and in the first, it's like an hour Zoom call, and so I ran through that, like, and I just went through all the concepts, like, here's all the different things about the universe, and these are just this is my knowledge, and this is just my the building blocks of my understanding, and let people think about their view, like for instance God, like what do you use that name, what does it mean to you, like just some of the really like basic things that are helpful to get people started with. And then I quizzed them. Everyone had a little homework task to quiz, and one of my students, that's the first one that answered it, I couldn't have answered it as well as they did. It was like perfect, and it was there was like about 15 questions, and I only skipped through them, and they answered each one like just spot on, really well written. I was like,
Whoa,
wow, I did not expect that.
that is amazing. I love, love, love the connecting with people about these topics that we care about because you do get like these different ways that they would put it, or there are
Mm,
different levels of understanding, such as like with manifestation, everybody
yeah,
explain it differently, but then you go, oh, that is perfect.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I also feel called that one thing that I feel it's like lacking in that training course is movement. Like I forget the movement
Mm.
is like what I didn't really I totally underestimated probably for years is that when I went through my awakening in 2017, I was in a Kundalini yoga session. And what I didn't know was that the Kundalini yoga moves that I was doing are all absolutely designed to help trigger that awakening in you prior to the meditation. It's like, oh, and I discovered this years later after doing it every day for years. So
Whoa.
you do these moves and then you meditate, and that really opened my eyes. And I think also I went through like a meditation teacher training last year, and qualified, which was fantastic to teach it to anyone that just wants to get started in meditation. And they talked a lot about how you can't really do meditation without movement. Like you must have some degree of movement in it, because you otherwise, I mean, it's not. I don't think that's entirely true. you can meditate in any state, but movement just allows the release of the energy. Like if you're like sat in your own stillness and your doubt and your worry, and all you're doing is meditating, like you're still really just like lying in that bathtub of of like dark energy and meditating in it. You still need to like do some physical work to, or it helps massively, and even not like huge amounts of movement, but yeah, I start to see more and more the connection between them, and how powerful it is.
Wow. That is so interesting. It makes me think of the importance of like the somatic stuff or even ecstatic dance.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and I'm not really informed about either, but I do know that when I like listen to music, music is so important to my movement practice.
Hmm.
Um, I always have to turn something on to like it just puts me into flow. And when there's times I'm like processing some stuff or maybe I'm trying to change my thinking about something to manifest something and I just start moving and um I don't know where it comes from, but it's just if when I allow it, I feel like this release, like it's so present. I don't know, it's
Yeah.
hard to describe, but I know what you
Oh,
know what I mean.
it's truly magical, right? Like, and I see you always inspire me because you have like you're outside so much and you're barefoot most of the time, as far, and even if I can't see your feet, that's just how I imagine you. And then and you're like touching nature, you're touching trees,
Mm,
and anything you can like get your skin on, which is that's so powerful. I didn't really realize until I was doing the reflexology, like clearly that's why the human body's designed like that. Like it's absolutely designed to connect every organ. So your heart or your brain, its nerves are almost touching. Like they're just the skin depth away from touching the earth when you're barefoot on the ground. And my mind was like, boom, was like, wow, that totally makes sense. That's why animals don't wear shoes. That's why, nature doesn't walk around in these little boots and stuff. And yeah, I also saw I've done like 1.5 hour qigong class, and I found that like I've always admired like Tai Chi, and I always thought like that movement and energy work is quite spectacular when they're combined. And yeah, like you say, like to dance, just like if you want to do something hard, or you want to do something that has like needs your highest kind of inspiration, do a dance first. Like put on your favorite music and just jump around the room, and your vibes go straight up, and you're releasing. I always feel like you're just shaking off that energy, right? You're just like,
yeah,
get off me, like get off that sticky ickiness. Like you can go away now. It's time for me.
that's so true. Yeah. Raise the vibes first and it never fails really. That and like getting outside, like even just breathing the fresh
Mm.
air or getting the daylight instead of indoor light, like immediately makes me go, oh, you know? I wanted to ask you,
Yeah.
if you're like what is your environment like? Like, do you have a yard? And when you go for runs, are there things to climb on? Like, what's like, I know Scotland is full of like hills and rocks, but are there things to play on like that for your movement practice?
It's so I do have a garden, and it's got a good size uh grass area. And it's not particularly overlooked, like it's quite private. So that's fantastic. I mean, it's quite marshy and boggy, but it's like it's one of the best gardens we've ever had. And I always like, so to get him in and out of my studio, I have to go like just past the grass, and I always go barefoot in and out of the house, and I just ground in between. So I'll just stand there and stare at the stars, and um, there's definitely space to do like whatever I wanted to, like I don't know, attempt cartwheels or handstands or whatever I can't do yet. But if I wanted to play around in the garden, I certainly could. And then we're like in a we're in Dunbar in Scotland, which is about 30 miles east of the capital, Edinburgh. We're down at the sea, but the running route that I go on takes me up this road. It's about half a mile long, and it's surrounded by these trees. So they're really tall. Maybe they're conifers and pines. And I don't know, like I see and I knew this was coming. I was like, because I see you climbing all the time. It's like, I would really love to climb. I am very just self-conscious about how I might make some of the dog walkers feel in the area
Yeah.
at that time. And yeah, I don't know how much would they see me. Because I go at 5 a.m. So there's very few people around, but there's like only two or three, and it's just the town's so quiet. You can literally
Yeah.
you can just fart and the whole town hears it. Like it's such a quiet place. um, but as soon as
Whoa.
I come out of the wooded area, so after about the first half mile, I'm out onto open country roads, and
Mhm.
they're quite hilly, and there's nothing really to climb. Actually, there is. Now I'm saying all this, just where I turn around at halfway mark of my run, there's a strip of trees. I haven't really thought about trying to get in them, but like they're just at the entrance to a farm park, and there's something very, very magical about them. Like there's always deer and foxes and badgers there, and there's just this feeling I have whenever I'm there. Like it's almost it feels a bit like the boundary to a fairy kingdom. That's exactly what the feeling that you get. And it's like it's just the outside of a tiny little village called Spot, renowned for its witches a few hundred years ago. So yeah, that's another place I could climb. Between that and a standing stone, there is a standing stone nearby that I pass each morning, but it's a bit difficult to. It's really tall. It's about 10 foot tall.
Whoa. Is there anything next to it that could help you get on top?
No, it's nothing. And it's quite hard to get to. You have to get across a field depending on what crops are in it. Um,
Whoa.
but it's really cool.
Do some people climb it?
Never seen them. It's a really interesting question. I could try it.
Whoa, I'm so curious. It sounds like there's lots of things to work with. And
Yeah.
I have a little mindset hack that has helped me to get over like if anyone was to see you,
Mhm.
if you'd like to hear.
Yeah, yeah, go for it.
So I had the same fear, and I even this past year had the fear of sharing me climbing trees
Mhm.
because I was just like, people are gonna just look at me like, you know, she's out there just wasting time. Like, why isn't she doing something that's a little bit productive? That's how I was looking at it. Like it was so like it felt so childish, like to
Yeah.
share. But that's again, that's like kind of the beauty of it, right?
Mhm.
But to get over this now, like I can go to a park and like get into flow or do like something kind of strange, dancing or just moving, and I'm okay with it because I remembered like in throughout my life like having moments where I'd see someone doing something playful in public,
Yeah.
and whether it was playing music or dancing or just being themselves, I felt so inspired by them.
Yeah.
And and just seeing them, I would think to myself, like, maybe there's a little bit of like judgment at first, but then I would be like,
Mhm.
I would really like to be that person that
Yeah.
they look so free. And I've noticed when I allow myself to be seen doing my thing,
Mhm.
um, it magnetizes people to me. And
Yeah.
they come up, they want to talk. They're just like, it might not even be about the movement. They'll be like,
Yeah.
hi. And maybe tell me about their life or something.
Yeah.
But I think that there's such an openness to like showing yourself being playful. And
Yeah.
so And even it goes with content too. I think
Hmm. That's
sharing
true.
sharing the playful, fun side of you that your inner child
Hmm.
is so inspiring, I feel like.
Yeah, I feel I really love that. You know what's funny is that I bought a skateboard maybe 6 months ago because I used to do it when I was a teenager, and I just get on the skateboard and I take my dog and I just go skateboarding, and the looks you get from people, like, I don't know, I see some like dads will do things like take their kids scooter or take their, like, almost like you can tell they're coming back from school and they're taking the thing that the child's like toy but having fun on it. And I'm like, no, no, this is my skateboard. Like, I paid a lot of money for this, and it's really good. And I wish I had it when I was a teenager. And yeah, I felt, it felt strange like the first couple of times,
Mhm.
um, but it was really enjoyable. Like, I just love doing it. Um, yeah, and I do love climbing. I love climbing trees. Um, and I always feel like I have a good, for my size, a really good grip. Like, not super strong arms, but like I could hang forever. And so I don't have a fear really of falling. Oh, yeah, it's only just the climbing part. And maybe I should start with some of the trees that are like on the halfway mark to build some bit of confidence. Um, and then come down into town like Tarzan, come back into the town. I think that'd be really cool because, yeah, you're right. Like, it would, if I think of the other runners, like, they're very much community woods. Like, they're run by a local trust, that we all kind of put some money in towards. There's lots of events that go on, and there are some clearing spaces that I haven't really thought of exploring. And So yeah, there's definitely, an opportunity to climb.
I love that. I think it's so inspiring to use the elements. And um with if you have the strong grip strength and some trees to hang from, there's so many options for
Mhm.
like strengthening I mean, if you have a good grip strength, just doing dead hangs, because I was looking at your goals to
Yeah.
for us to,
So many. I
I
gave you like
loved it.
a million.
I, I loved it. So I was thinking about like what we could talk about with that. And before I say that, I did want to
Mm.
say, just to be totally transparent with you, that I
Yeah.
have never done this before. Like, helped someone meet a goal with fitness. It's always been on my heart to do that, but
Yeah.
always like I was always thinking of group classes, and
Mhm.
I do think that I want to get to that, but I wanted to let you know that this is a first time thing, and I'm honored if you feel inspired to work together, because I would be very excited to. And
Absolutely. Go ahead.
and with the goals that you had, you were talking about upper body and arms and spinal mobility and flexibility, it seemed like. And um, so I was thinking about like, you could talk about some calisthenics exercises and some things that I've done to strengthen my arms. And
Mhm.
just a side note about that is that, like, in my fitness journey in the last 4 years, which is when I really became inspired by fitness,
Mhm.
um, the arms have been a huge part of my journey. And they're not like really bulked right now, like not that they ever were, but I do have strong arms because of the exercises that I do.
Mhm.
And that didn't exist before. Like, I had the
Yeah.
weakest arms before I started this. I couldn't pull myself up onto things. I could hang for only a few seconds.
Mhm.
Um,
That's amazing. That's a huge transformation.
Totally. They were always a little, like, I always had extra weight on them too. And I did notice when I started putting a little focus and a little more effort, and just energy into it,
Mm.
that they changed the fastest of any body part
Yeah.
um, that I've trained before. So I found that interesting. So
Yeah,
exciting.
absolutely. And I felt like if I explain it a little bit about why I'd like to work with you is I it's very easy for me to go to, I know, in part people that don't understand me or understand some of the things I'll say, especially the more kind of woo woo things out there, right? That, we none of us really understand yet, the more magical aspects of the human body and the psyche. Um, and after writing that whole long list of goals, I think I then responded and said, actually, there's just one thing. There's just one thing I want to focus on. I love all those things that you said are like, they're definitely like on the list. And they might even, even just the climbing might have a massive effect. But I have this, or should I say, if I'm going to choose my words carefully because words are magic, right? I am on a journey to continually improve both my sense of lack and lack of abundance, um, and and the kind of, how to describe it, the really quite dark negative um, self-talk that I give my body. When I see myself in the mirror, or I feel myself, and it's all centered around the solar plexus. So like, kind of psychically, it's all about like, oh, I don't have enough in my life, and I must have more, more, more. And I that manifests as like worry or negative self-talk, or I look at myself in the mirror and I'm always unhappy with here, and like uh my waist, like my love handles. um and and I actually, like, I'm 47 and I don't think I've been in like as good shape ever. And I
Wow.
was looking at myself in the mirror and I was like, I do a lot of exercise, but it's like there is a um not to uh, uh you know to self-diagnose or underplay other people's conditions, but there's a kind of dysmorphic aspect to it, right? Which is that actually I'm actually in pretty good shape, but and that really helps me clarify the goal, which is, the goal for me really is to feel good and confident about this area of my body, like my solar plexus, my stomach, and then that kind of expands out a bit, like around the core. And I think, like, with this focus, both emotionally and physically, on my negative self-talk, my self-love, being able to receive abundance, like opening myself up, um, would help me so much, because the rest of my body, like, in many respects, kind of doesn't really matter. It's never been a focus at all. I don't think I mentioned once my legs, or like, once feet, like, or my head or neck, or I don't know, just like any other parts. So yeah, that was definitely like a really key focus for me.
I love that. And it lines up so much with I I I have I don't know if you're familiar with Paul Chek. He's
Yeah.
written How to Eat, Move, and Be Healthy, and he
Mm.
has a beautiful um program of holistic health.
Yeah.
And um when he's talking about movement, he talks about how if you don't have core strength, you don't really have much of anything.
Yeah.
And he puts it in like a more eloquent way than that, but that's your base.
Yeah.
And so I love that, like, that you want to focus there, and and I can relate with disliking an area of my body that
Mhm.
I've disliked for most of my life. And that is, I mean, in the USA, like, there's a lot of pressure for women to have a nice butt. So there's like, or it feels that way. So I've always been
Mhm.
self-conscious about that area. Um, and a couple of years ago, I was walking a lot and I was feeling frustrated because I was more fit than I'd ever experienced, but that area still didn't seem fit to me at all.
Mhm.
And I made the choice, I guess, or I started thinking about visualizing, first of all, seeing in my mind what it would look like if I did have like a toned area,
Mhm.
and how would I walk differently and move differently if I did.
Yeah.
And that started to affect my movement and my
Wow.
thinking, and sent more
Yeah.
love to that area, and I started to
Mhm.
see some results. Um, but I would be so excited to talk about like different movements that
Yeah.
we incorporate for the core, and um what some of the things Paul Chek talks about for core. I mean, like, we have so many possibilities about what we want to do in future sessions or right now. So what are you feeling?
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. I'm open. Uh, Definitely open to anything. And you saw the routine I have at the moment, right? I don't know if you watched it all. It's quite, it's still pretty raw and unedited.
Hey, I loved that you had a routine, because that's kind of been, I've been a little all over the place with mine, which makes it a little harder to approach sometimes. So if you have
Mm,
a routine, that is fantastic. And like, you can add to it or mix it up.
yeah. It's my definitely my superpower is like just like doing a song every day. It's just like it's a time of day that I do the thing, and here's the sequence of things. And it's quite funny as I'm doing the routine. I'm always like, "What's the next thing?" And I just do that. But what I don't have like it's literally the same routine that I don't know must very very gradually evolve. Like maybe one routine will come in and out every few months.
Mhm.
Like it's just very slow. Um, but yeah, I feel if I think of the exercises that seem to affect my core the most at the moment is when like if I'm doing the like a plank position and then moving my waist down to one side and then the middle and then down to the other side, like that feels really good. Like I definitely feel the difference there. Especially my upper um stomach area. And um and I think also the pull up bar as well. But I think that's all like, especially now I bought a band for it, that it instead of just struggling with maybe using less muscles for less reps, I'm getting to do more reps in a much better form as well. And I'm appreciating a bit more that the form is so important, that it doesn't actually matter how many reps you do. Is the most important thing is like your form and your speed. That's been a big like eye opener for me. And sometimes it's easy to forget that. Like if I'm just in a routine, it's like, hey, do the next thing, but not really thinking through. Like you were saying, like now think of that muscle group, because you can run or walk without using your glutes at all, right? Almost at
Yeah.
all. Like they're barely touched. And then if you think about it, suddenly like, oh wow, it's like that. That's a big workout. There's a lot of burn, and you're doing the exact same exercise as far as you're aware consciously. Um, but yeah, I would love to. Yeah, I'd love to hear your thoughts on the sorts of things I could explore for my core. Like, is climbing helpful?
I think so. I think it is, because I feel like it's a full, like, obviously your arms and your shoulders are working a lot, but I feel like the rest of your body tightens,
Hmm.
um and you have to maneuver around branches, or if you're jumping on a rock and you pull yourself up. Um I think any kind of primal movement, like,
Yeah,
Paul Chek talks about this a lot too, like getting in the all fours, or pulling or pushing, or bending, twisting,
hmm,
are all part of like the primal patterns that we would have to do if we were living in the wild,
yeah,
and those work them. But two things that I that just came to mind as just like first thing maybe to even try out would
yeah.
be I've been calling it for my practice, the Hulk exercise.
Yeah.
And that's where you're standing, I do it standing, and then flex your whole body and like every muscle, and it raises your energy so much, and like your muscles will start shaking, and you can like concentrate in different areas that feel like they're harder to move or harder to flex.
Hmm.
Like this, just kneeling, I'm conscious of my core keeps trying to relax.
Yeah.
It's, I could do this exercise just thinking about the core, and and I do boxing and kickboxing, so sometimes like we do exercises where we just tense our core so much and the other person can hit us.
Yeah.
Just flexing that and holding it is a powerful exercise.
Hmm. Yeah, I love that. So when you're doing the Hulk, were you just like you just tense every muscle in your body?
Yeah, and you can do it for like, I don't know, however long you want, and just
Hmm.
kind of like with my knees flexed and just do everything. And I'm just like, and then I start shaking, and it will
On your
really
face.
raise.
Wow. It's so hard, but it's amazing.
Right? And after that, it feels so your body feels like a lot more relaxed or charged up. Um,
That's so
it's
cool. I love that. It's like I definitely resonate more with standing exercises. There's something about I don't mind so much on my front. I don't like on my back so much. I don't know what it is when I'm lying on my back. Like doing sit-ups, I'm just not like I know maybe it's because my legs are much lighter than the rest of my body. I just really struggle to do a lot of other floor exercises. But yeah, anything I definitely resonate with standing exercises, and that's so cool. That feels so how it's almost like this like silent, invisible like plank that you're doing. Like you're tensing so much, and yet you have the flexibility to do your whole body.
yeah. Yeah. I feel like it really helps with like your mood elevation too. Like
Mm,
if I'm feeling maybe it's pushing the energy out or something.
yeah,
And I did it with I was with a couple of friends who were guys before, and it was kind of interesting because I was like, do this exercise. I just want to see like what happens. So they
yeah,
did it. And afterwards they were standing taller and something about them made them look stronger.
yeah.
And I was like, that is really interesting. They just look it brought out like their masculine side or something.
Mm,
Um, so I thought that was cool. Another one that I learned from Paul Chek um, just today, looking through this
mm.
book, was the 4-point tummy vacuum. And so it looks like this, and you're just in that position. And then you have your spine in a neutral alignment. You take a deep breath and you let your belly drop down towards the floor. So it's like totally expanded. And
Mm.
then you exhale and draw your belly button in toward your spine. And you hold your navel in there for as long as you can.
Oh wow.
And then- yeah, and then you let it drop again and you repeat that pattern, and that will actually help strengthen your
Oh
core
wow.
too.
That's really cool.
Yeah, I'm gonna be practicing that one a little bit more too, because I'd really like to see abs, and it would be cool if we're talking
Yeah.
about core strength, you'd be helping me as well. Because I've never seen my abs yet, but I've definitely become more lean.
Yeah.
And
You're in great shape.
thank you.
Amazing. I always like always amazes me when you're like getting into the into the ice tub. It's like looks it's so inspirational, and and just for a moment, like I see like your it's almost like your body's like, here we go again, and you're like, yes, here we go again. It's
Yes.
amazing. I always think if you want to have a cold shower, I'm like, Caytie can do it. Like, and she's in a bath outside in ice, and she had to like break it up, and I'm like in a cozy shower.
Right.
There is a place that's just opened outside of our town. It's only about a mile away, and it's like a it's an ice bath like studio. It's just been built. So they're and I was saying, oh, I want to come there. I want to like do some retreats and sessions there. So it's definitely on my list. I've never done it yet, so there's
Whoa.
something to try.
Personally, and it depends on the person. I think doing a cold shower is even harder. Sometimes, like you can adjust and like get used to it as well, but
Mhm.
maybe it's because you're sitting so still in the cold water that you can almost forget that it's
Yeah.
around. But with the showers, like you can't forget.
Yeah, I
Do
do
you?
this thing. I learned that if you in the shower, if you just put your thighs in the cold water first, suddenly I don't know if it's to do with like the amount of blood that you have a lot of blood in your that flows through your thighs. It's just like it's almost like when the cold hits it, suddenly the water feels warmer, like just within seconds, within 3 or 4 seconds. And of course, you go through that more naturally because you're climbing into it, into an ice tub, and that shocked me because I was like, well, this is a great hack. I'll just do this every time. But of course, when you put your head under the cold shower, and suddenly you're like, oh no, it's definitely still really cold. You get a bit of a reality check. But yeah, that helped me like just ease my way in just a few seconds on the legs, and then I'm in.
Wow, yes. When do go under in the ice bath, it's it takes a while to catch the breath, like versus just getting in. That in the armpits, like in the
Yeah.
cold shower, in the armpits, get it? It's
Hmm.
um I wanted to ask you if in your space, because
Hmm.
I I don't remember from your video how much space you had to work with, but do you have a wall to work with?
Yes. I don't have a lot of wall. I have if I'm gonna, well, it depends what I have to do against it.
Well, I mean, there's lots of things we could work on. Like there's um I was because one of your goals you were talking about was bending and as far as you can
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that flexibility, and there's
Hmm.
lots of exercises for that, and improving mobility and flexibility. There's stuff like this, but since you really are it sounds like you're interested in building your arms and to do
Yeah.
like handstands and different calisthenic stuff. There's
Hmm.
so much to work with when you have a wall to be able to do this and like, work on just being in this position and like going down and
Oh
going up.
wow.
Um, and you can do stuff like um have more flexibility in your legs like this, or um doing stuff like this for your glutes. Um, you can do, this works your thighs a lot. Like there's so much you can do
Yeah,
with the
that's
wall.
fabulous. It's very impressive. You're doing the. It's like you're doing kind of handstand push-ups. Like that is. I can do. Let me try and show you because I just want to give you a sense of like what I my capability. Let me see if I can show you.
Okay.
It'll take a second.
Oh, nice. Okay. So you have your door.
Yeah, I won't be able to hear you for a second, but let me just try this.
Okay.
Oh, that's so
No,
much fun.
oh my gosh, that was so cool. Um, one thing about doing this exercise that I learned the hard way was I'd been practicing like jumping into a handstand for a long time, kind of almost obsessively. It
Oh,
was,
me too.
and I was thinking I could hold it like for a few seconds sometimes. Um, so I thought I had more stability than I did, and I got on a door not last winter, like 2 winters ago. I got in that same position and I tried to let go and I somehow crumbled and I fell on my face and
Oh no.
had scratches all the way down and I really thought I had a concussion because there was such a
Oh.
lot of crunching. But everything was fine. But I want to encourage just to not rush it. And
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can't do a handstand yet, but I do have a lot more stability now for just doing stuff against the wall and
Yeah.
concentrating on like the whole line here. Like if I'm in this position
Mhm.
and I want to just practice like on one leg, I'm holding my leg, this leg is like totally tensed, and so is my glute, and
Okay.
so is my core. Like my whole body is engaged. And
Hmm.
then I can switch to the other side. And likewise, because if I'm only concentrating on my arms, I'm not as balanced and I could get
Yeah.
hurt.
Well, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I'd spent probably 2 years doing it the other way around. I was just throwing myself at, well, it was actually a mirrored wall in my last house. And although there was lots of space to do it, yeah, it was far more dangerous. And all I was doing was like, it's almost like the thing that you do, you perfect, right? And actually, that wasn't super helpful. It did help with some of the upper body strength, but nothing to do really with balance because you just relied totally on like not kind of falling off when you hit the wall. Whereas this way around, what I realize is this exercise is like a destination in itself, right? Because it's already great fun to do. It's unusual, it's hard to do, but you can do it for quite a while, like enough seconds that you get like that reward sense, and like you're saying, like you can, yeah, I think focusing on my legs, and the balance, and just allowing like I don't feel as hungry to do handstands, but I feel like it would just naturally come if I was more focused on having fun doing that exercise. Like I would
Yeah,
just build up that strength and that confidence, and it would just come whenever it came. Like it doesn't. There's no like fixed date that it needs to happen by, but just enjoy that like safely and consciously.
that's true. I think I came to the same conclusion at some point because I was like trying and thinking that that would be like the epitome of fitness, and it kind of was, I don't know, it was taking away the fun and
Hmm.
um uh it's really cool to have a goal in your mind to picture like this would be such a crowning achievement that I can celebrate. So, for helping you manifest
Yeah.
becoming as fit as you can be, but also just enjoying the process. And I I've found I really enjoy like high intensity, intervals, like bursts of really intense exercise. I also enjoy the flowy stuff, like standing on one leg, and um, I'm learning Qigong, which would be cool to do with
Oh,
you.
brilliant. Yeah.
And even and another one is it's like so simple, but I feel like it's really helped me like with muscle toning is just, oh, I think they're called isometrics. So just doing like static holds to things and
Hmm.
um a big one for me with working on my glutes was just like working on my standing on one leg and just holding it like this for like several times a day. Anytime I'm starting to like need a little boost, I stand there and I
Yeah.
can it's all flexed and I can stand
Oh
for
wow.
that. Um, so
That's really cool. And the balance is fun, right? Like, and it uses so many more muscles when you're trying to balance like on one leg.
yeah.
Um, yeah, I definitely resonate with that. Are there any exercises you can do like during the day? I don't know, like I'm thinking more like being in an office or something where you're like are there holds that you can do or smaller exercises you can do for your core?
For your core, mm, I think yes. Um, like if you like what kind of spot would you be in? Like just right in your office room where your desk is and
Yeah, like either like in my office, well, my home office and um a corporate office, there's quite a lot of space around me. But it's more like, I don't know, people don't really like you exercising and distracting them. But if it's like small amounts of movement or stretching, no one really cares.
hmm.
Um, and you're even like a kind of like holding, tensing, or like a stress position, there'd be, it doesn't really annoy people.
Yeah. I'm wondering like if in the horse stance, because if are you preferring not to be like on the ground, like on
Yeah,
your
yeah, like standing or sitting. Yeah.
I'm wondering because the horse stance is so valuable,
Mm,
like this kind of thing for as long as you can, and you could engage your core, and that would almost
yeah.
distract from your legs, and you
Uh,
could engage that, and you can like be thinking of songs or different things, or just breathing, um, and it would be engaging um a lot of the muscles, you know?
oh wow, yeah, I really feel that on the court. Much more
Yeah,
than you'd expect.
yeah. And then you could take a break, and then you could widen your stance. Because it would be getting all like from the hamstrings all the way up into your core. And then you could, try to stand as straight as possible.
Yeah, that's really cool. Thank you.
Do you ever have any painful areas of your body?
Um, no.
That's good.
It is, yeah. I feel like I'm just getting healthier and healthier all the time. Like, well, I am getting healthier all the time. I think the only ailment I've had at all has just been I had like what might have been I was cleared for celiac disease. My daughter has it and my mother has it. And then I had like suspected. Uh, I was referred to see if I haven't had a diagnosis yet if I have irritable bowel syndrome.
Hmm.
But wait, and it's all like, oh, look, it's all in the same place. But so what I did was I just, I mean, I don't eat meats. I guess like a pescatarian, so I eat fish. Um, and my diet, like I was eating like snacks like chocolate and crisps and stuff. They would be like my kryptonite. And
Hmm.
when I, like, it took long enough, like I describe it as like my digestive system was just in such it'd be feel really bloated and quite painful overnight that eventually I was like, that's it. I just have to stop like these fun snacks. And so now I just eat fruit or nuts. And then my diet is way healthier. And I'm even like our evening meals now are largely the vast majority we're cooking ourselves. We have like the odd takeaway maybe like once a week, but the rest is like fresh vegetables and making our own sauces and stuff. Like it's a lot of work, but it feels way better. Like I've not had a sore stomach in quite a few weeks now.
Wow.
Um, and yeah, physically, like I know food carries a lot of vibration, and like even that's what took me off meat. I couldn't eat that. Everyone has their choice, right? But I just found that low vibration that the animals go through when they die was like too heavy to consume. And then, of course, there's still stuff in between. It just because it wasn't an animal doesn't mean to say it's not bad for you. That's made a big difference. So I don't really feel bloated or anything anymore. And the rest of my body's I feel good.
Wow. That's huge. Yeah. Um, so like you feel like you've created a consistency that you're not getting any more stomach aches.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And even if I do have like, I don't know, a small cupcake or something like that that maybe would have bothered me before, it's fine if I just have a small amount. Maybe if I ate like a whole like big chocolate bar or something, I'd probably find some challenges there. But yeah,
Mm.
I feel like the more I meditate and raise my vibrations and exercise more and eat better, like this all links together. And
Mhm.
I have less and less tolerance for stuff that doesn't match that. And sometimes that's surprising. You're like, but surely a packet of like you call them chips, right? Like a packet of chips, like please, or that bar of chocolate, come on.
Yes.
It's just one a week. Is that too much? Yes, it's too much.
I totally can relate. Snacks are my kryptonite as well. And those, especially those late night snacks when you're just like, it sounds good, something in the cupboard, and what's the most easy thing to consume that's yeah, that's me too. And my issue has been if I overly indulge, I get a lot of skin issues,
Hmm.
um, which I guess is also related to gut health. I'm
Yeah.
learning. So I'm seeing the connection there too, and even the connection to our breathing, how that
Mhm.
actually helps with our lymphatics, which can affect our skin if those are clogged up with the different toxins that we consume and stuff.
Yeah, I don't take any supplements. I do sometimes when I remember to take vitamin D. Our doctors here keep saying, "You're in Scotland, like the sun sometimes appears. So you should like definitely take something." Um and I think I've seen you talking about some. I think I'd even looked up some. I can't remember what they're called now, but you like there was some supplements to do with you know uh like exercise related, like other building, it's either protein or something. I can't remember what it was, but
Oh,
I'd linked it, still sat in my Amazon basket, just kind of staring at it. But yeah, is there anything? I don't take anything, but would you recommend anything I consider?
um, I mean, I would definitely recommend the superfoods that I've been talking about, and they are available to buy in the European markets, so it
Mhm.
wouldn't have to be shipped from the US.
Yeah.
Um, if you did that, I would recommend purchasing through the website through my link,
Mhm.
um, simply because if you're buying on Amazon, it might not be what's coming from our company.
Oh yeah.
Um, but the thing with this stuff is it's helped that it's a whole program. It can be a program, or you could buy
Mhm.
individual products, but inside has like a green drink that you drink like once or twice a day, and it could replace one or two of your meals.
Wow.
And it's all organic, no additives or fillers or anything, all grown on organic soil. And with that also comes the super aminos, which I think is what you were talking about.
Yeah, that rings a bell. Yeah.
And those are so cool, like so energizing. And it's protein that you absorb in 23 minutes and it goes straight into your bloodstream, which is like, so it doesn't go into your intestines, your blood absorbs it. So you're
Mhm.
getting the protein that you need because, like depending on what your diet is, or even
Yeah.
just how hungry you are, sometimes it's hard to get the right amount of protein that we need.
Mhm.
And I've found that taking these, I've seen more toning and more muscle definition than I ever did because
Yeah.
I wasn't getting the right amount of protein.
Mhm.
So if you were looking for a nutritional, they're not, it's not even really supplements because it's food. It's
Yeah.
super. So you would be um, drinking that. And it has other stuff too as part of the program. Like it removes glyphosate from your body. And it's one of the only um, products. Our company makes one of the only products on the market that does that.
Mhm.
And um, glyphosate is the main chemical in Roundup. And we also have a parasitic cleanse protocol, which I don't know if in Scotland, is it something that you talk about cleansing from parasites? Because in the US, we don't.
No.
We don't talk about it, except like this, I mean, getting involved with this company.
Mhm.
Um, and it's a holistic company. No, we don't rely on big pharma. It's talked about quite a bit.
No, I'll definitely check this out. And yeah, it's really interesting. I think I'd like to just try it and see, yeah, what it feels like, and the results like. And I think it's what is really funny is like I keep thinking earlier, every time you've showed me an exercise or you've said something, I keep going back to like, well, what would I want to feel like and look like? Oh, and I should share one thing. I know we're just over time, but I'll share quickly, which is um I was doing this, like, I guess it's almost like a manifestation exercise, and the the coach said you've got to put your hand on your heart for 4 minutes, and the first thing you have to ask yourself is, uh, in your dream life, what are you doing right now? How do you feel? And who are you with? And the first thing that hit me, like like a freight train, was like I felt so strong. Like my body felt like, and I don't mean like bulky. I just
Uh-huh.
mean the energy was like, it was just palpable, just quite intense. Like, and I know I was sat like on an armchair in a very relaxed position, but the energy in me felt so strong. There was no, like, just no sense of fatigue at all. And that really struck me. It made me think there's work I do between now and that version of me that is all about my vibration, all about my clear energy. And it's not just my chi or like my psychic energy, it's my physical body too. And yeah, that vision that you're also saying, well, okay, well, what would you want to look like? I think is really helpful as well, because when you first asked about goals, I was thinking more along the lines of muscle mass or weight loss, but actually it's the confidence. That's all it is. Like I don't need to be bigger. I don't need to be smaller. I don't need more weight or less weight. Like I'm actually okay with those things. And somewhere along the lines, there will be some sort of toning that I go through. And like you're saying, like that sense of achievement when when I finally acknowledge and celebrate that exercise I do, whether it's, almost a handstand or whatever it is, that I say yes to myself, like that feels really good. This feels like that highest human self, that best version of me. And it's so much more of a feeling than it is a look. But it's easy to be. I find I am quite a visual person, so there is a visual element to that as well.
Yes. I love that so much. It makes me think of, are you familiar with Louise Hay?
Don't think so.
She she wrote You Can Heal Your Life, and she makes the she teaches or taught, I think she's passed away, that any physical ailment that we have is pretty much brought on by our thoughts and our
Yeah.
and so she has like affirmations for every physical ailment that we might face, which just kind of makes you think. But she's talked about like weight and fitness and different things, and how if we release something, and we, I guess, get into a state of acceptance and more self-love, that our body will like, I don't know, shape itself how it was always meant to be shaped.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fall off, the muscles will show up, because we're not having that resistance around
Hmm.
the area of
Yeah.
us, I guess.
I, I agree. I feel like, so when I look in the mirror and I look at like my waist or my stomach, I it's so easy for me in the past to just watch my words, to like have negative self-talk, right? And of course what happens is I generate this negative energy, and then I direct it directly at my waistline and my core, and I say, look at you, look at your body. And then what happens is like the self-fulfilling, like perpetuating problem, where I'm just like, every time I see it, it's like, I told you. And like you just keep going. Yeah, I feel like there's a practice in me as well to maybe stop and look in the mirror, or when I'm not I'm just looking down at myself, and just take that moment to admire that progress, and
Mm.
have that gratitude. I mean, I know there's many men that 47 would love to have, to be able to see their feet, or to, just to be able to, or to touch their toes. Like there's so many things I can do that I couldn't do when I was younger, even when I was a kid. And I feel like, I think there's a lesson in gratitude. I know gratitude's so important for abundance and overcoming lack, and yet that all feels very connected. So yeah, I feel like I could work that into my routine. I'm very routine driven, so that like maybe it's like before I go in the shower, I like, do the like, you check yourself over and like, yeah, like this is going well, this is progress, be grateful, grateful for my health. Like even your reaction saying like, you're asking about, is there anything that hurts or anything? I'm like, just no. It's just I used to years ago, but I just feel, yeah, I just feel so much better. And I think a lot of that is, energy and vibration, and my body manifesting that. And this is like my kind of last domain of healing.
Wow. I I wonder if like I mean like saying I love you, and then touching that part of yourself like you would your lover, like
Yeah, yeah,
like you wouldn't be hard on her parts. You'd be like, I love you, I love you, I love you. And touching and bringing more awareness to that spot, I feel like would direct the energy even more there,
yeah.
and more of that self-love
Hmm.
thinking.
Yeah, I'll definitely do that. It also occurred to me, and this will be something for me to think about, is I'd love to do like like a pre like a short meditation and like energy work to start that, to kind of set up the exercise, like to set the clear intention, to focus that love energy. Like I'm so used to doing those things, but not, certainly not focusing on myself. Like doing that, and then like preparing the muscles and like charging the body, and then stepping into it, and probably quite short, right? Like a minute or
Yeah.
two just to get ready to go into it. And then I don't know if that it goes straight into dancing or whatever, but I feel like there's a routine that will as much kind of psychically and energetically charge me up.
Oh,
Um,
yes. I've never done that either. And I think that would be so valuable just to like, take a minute or two and just get in the mindset and set the intentions and what you'd like to gain from it, which is largely to raise your vibration and whatever other intention.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah, because
yeah.
our bodies are sentient, right? Like they're properly sentient. Like you can talk to your body, you can have a conversation. It's a partnership. It's a very symbiotic between like whatever your belief is, your soul and your higher self and your physical body. And if you just throw, we're so used to just throwing our bodies at someone. It's like, what do you mean you can't climb that cliff? Like, I thought we were fit, and the body's like, I haven't had my coffee yet. Or like, it's
Yeah.
like, I thought there was things that happened before. Where's the warm up? And yeah, I feel like one thing I didn't really talk about was like, sleep and with my kind of very kind of um describe as like divine masculine, constantly pushing and creating, very driven, and very routine driven. Like it's easy for me, ironically, like when I'm on vacation, for example, to sleep less and to find it hard to rest. Like I just find it difficult to take that time unless I'm literally, if I'm meditating, I'm fine. I feel like that's productive, and I'm learning that resting is productive. But sleep, I always sleep well. I always sleep very deeply, very fast. But I only sleep for maybe 6 hours, sometimes 5 hours in a night. And I think some of that's age. It's like it's got less. I needed less and less when I stopped drinking. I needed almost like I felt like I needed half as much sleep. And definitely meditation has an effect. I usually meditate just before sleep, and it puts me into this very deep rest. But it's that, when you then demand of your body, okay, up at 5 a.m., I go for a run, like run 4.5 miles, then do all this exercise, that sometimes I just find it hard to listen and say, okay, body, am I kind of running on adrenaline, or am I like, have I rested enough? And I enjoy napping, and I enjoy like, sometimes I just test myself a bit in the afternoon. I'll just be like, let's just try it. Let's just make sure there's an hour clear in my calendar and just sit and rest. And if I feel like I fall asleep, I'll fall asleep. But yeah, I don't know if you have any tips for like just watching that fatigue side and not just not pushing through it.
Well, I admire you for still being able to get up in the morning, 5 a.m. That is super admirable. Um, I guess it I guess like if that is important to maintain that morning routine, because people say like the most successful people, or you having that routine, especially in the morning, you can get done so much more. So if that is a priority for you, it depends on, I guess, if your creativity starts flowing like later in the evening, but can you set that boundary of making sure you go to bed on time?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I usually go to bed like nine, like
Oh,
nine
that's
nine
nice.
thirty p.m. And I'm only in bed for about half an hour before sometimes an hour before I go to sleep. Depends if the kids are out, out and
Wow.
about. So
I admire your schedule a lot. I think it would be a lot more effective for me to get things done if I started earlier in the day. Um, I tend to um put things off, and this is something I'm working on, till later in the day, and then I'm like, oh, the day I gotta get a bunch of things done. So then I start working on creative stuff late into the evening,
mhm.
and then that affects my schedule. So my personality would be like, I really need to sleep, so I guess I just won't get up early.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but if you I so what would you change about that? Like, do you feel still unrested when you wake up, even after going to bed at 9?
No, I think it's almost like, so my routine, like I'll get up 5 a.m. I just put my running clothes on. I go straight outside. And then back it's about 40 minutes running through the hills and back. And then I you're so that point, and I think that's that one of the downsides of it is within like probably by about 20 minutes past 5, my adrenaline's going. And so and that's me, this is one of the addictions, right? Which is that the kind of behavioral addiction to the routine, but then also the physically. But I only run Monday to Friday, so I don't. Saturday and Sunday I get up at the same time, and I go for a 1 hour bath, like a really hot bath. And I find that both very luxurious and then also like a great way of like sweating out any toxins. Um, and and I think the downside of Monday to Friday is that I'm not taking time to listen to my body, to just say, okay, John, what do you really need? Because I'm like one of those adverts or on TV or something when the alarm goes off, I'm literally bolt upright. My wife thinks it's the funniest thing that, I literally just sit up. Like I'm just like I'm possessed. I'm like, wake up, John. And then I'm up and I'm out. And there's never any waiting, never any pause. It's like literally a split second. Um, and I did find it hard uh to sometimes to flex that that waking up later. And that's one of the warning signs, right? Like if something's good for you, you can like flex it all the time, but if it's too rigid, it's harder. Sometimes like if I am really tired, if something big was happening the night before, I would just sleep in like an hour or two later, and I would like skip a song that day, or just or the run. That tends to be rare. But when we go camping on weekends, I'll definitely we'll sleep in it in the van. I mean, it's funny. I sit up, the alarm goes off. I sit up at 5 a.m., meditate 5 minutes, and then go back to sleep.
Wow. I'm wondering like for your Monday through Friday, do you have time for like I know you meditate every day, right?
Yeah.
But is there time before you take off on the run, whether you're standing outside or inside, to go within
Yeah,
and
that's a really good idea. I think in particular to go to connect with my body.
yeah,
Because when I'm running, like I'm staring at the stars. I'm looking at like the galaxies and the universe, and like my mind's just like filled with like it's like Star Wars in my head. But then, yeah, like I love that idea of like just taking a like we can always afford 1 minute, right? Like just that 1 minute of breath. Perhaps when I'm got my running stuff on and I've got my trainers on, and just do a little bit of stretching, and then just either inside or step outside, like you're saying, and go within that. That could be really helpful. I also really love looking at the stars. I could be like stand outside the front door, hand on heart, take 3 deep breaths, either close my eyes or stare at the stars, and just be me for a moment, and maybe ask
yeah,
myself a question like, what is the best thing for my body today, or what's the best thing for my body right now, um, and just allow that answer, because it might not be to go for a run that day, or it might be to like go back to bed, or
yeah.
or do a different exercise, or just go climbing trees for an hour. Like yeah, what comes through. I love that.
I love that too. Even asking those questions like, how are you feeling today? What is the best thing for you for the body today? Um, Asking ourselves these questions and we get these answers. It's- I love it.
Yeah, thank you for that gift. I'm
Thank you.
conscious of time. We're an hour and 20 minutes. I don't want to burn all your goodwill and trust and
No, it's
and tired.
beautiful. Thank you for taking the extra time. And would I mean we can talk whether it's on the chat or to if we want to decide on a regular time to meet if you'd like, or what interests you.
Yeah, it'd be really
So
cool. Yeah, let's chat. I'll be very me and go back through this recording and take some notes about some of the changes that I can implement.
yeah,
Um, and yeah, I'd love to chat with you about how we could work together. It'd be so cool.
okay.
I'd really love that.
I would love that too, John. That would mean a lot. And yeah, just let me know what you think about and how we can do that.
Definitely. And yeah, thank you so much. Like you're so easy to and approachable to talk to, and like your work is really inspirational. Like when I see you exercising, it's like you're having so much fun, and it's quite I feel it's like quite unusual in that it's almost like your fun and your self, like your self love and your self worth and your connection with nature are far more important than other things. And
Mm,
yet you're achieving the other goals as well. They just come along. They come along for the ride, right? They're there too. Um, and that's what really inspires me about you is that, and you're just so brave. Like you're just so brave about everything in your life, and just this warrior through. It doesn't matter what it is, right? Like you're leading by example. Um, and I came so very aware that movement is such a big part of my life, and yet I'm not. I need to teach it as part of the other work I do, and so I need to get into a practice of like I need to find a I have a business mentor, a psychic mentor. I need a physical movement mentor, and not just like not just someone that is gonna teach me some routines I kind of half already know or could look up, but someone I could deeply connect with at like a soul level. And I know you totally get me, and
yeah.
that really inspires me. So thank you. Keep up your amazing work.
Oh, thank you. And thank you for saying all of that. That is so kind of you. It really fills me with joy to hear.
Mm,
And I guess just to one last thing to add to that, that maybe that you have sensed already, it is, I guess, so much of what my philosophy about movement and exercise has been to embody who I want to be and like my highest self.
yeah,
And more self-love and more like my authenticity and movement helps me to do that. And so I feel like it lines up so much with meditation and that like so thank you.
thank you. Yeah, if so, we're teaching the world, right? And if we could literally turn on a light switch, like the little flame in everyone's heart around the world right now, and got everyone to love themselves more, like this world would be just such, and it will be like we're doing it right. That's why we came here. Is we're changing the world by leading by example and doing it once and teaching it. And yeah, that is so beautiful to hear that. Thank you for that beautiful insight and reflection. Like it's what it's all about,
Yes, I love that. Thank you, John. I'm so excited. Well, I hope you have a beautiful night and
Thank you.
reach out when you feel inspired. And I look forward to seeing you again soon.
Thank you. I look forward to sending you a video of me up a tree. That's going to be a lot of fun.
Yes, I can't wait to see.
Thank you very
All
much. We'll be
right,
in touch.
sending off from Michigan.
Thank you. Sending love from
Okay.
Scotland. Thank you. Bye.